Hello, gentle reader. My name's Eva. Welcome to my channel. It is a shiny new channel, and I have decided that by way of introduction for my first video, I'm going to do the Booktube Newbie tag as is customary. I'm going to put the questions of the tag in the description box below for the next person who wants to do the tag. So here we go. I started this channel like so many others in order to be able to participate more fully and more actively in the community. There have been so many instances in which I wish that I could have taken part in a readathon, a read-along, a challenge, or a tag. And there were also so many things that I like to ask the people whose channels I like to watch about their thoughts on books that we have both read, which is something that is always easier to do. It's always easier to strike up a conversation, I think, when you have a platform of your own, when you've put something of yourself out there, as opposed to when you're just a consumer, just a commenter. And I don't say that to put down commenters, not at all. Believe me, I'll appreciate each and every comment that you leave on this channel. Except for the hate comments. I know I'm late to the party, but I only discovered Booktube a few months ago, and I got excited by the prospect of having such a platform to talk about books and literature and reading, because it's been quite a while since I've done so in any meaningful way with anybody. So that's exciting, although I anticipate that it will be quite the challenge to create regular content, especially since I'm only just learning all the technical stuff. And my fancy camera, which is not in fact a video camera, has already proved to be quite the challenge. As for more content-related challenges, I tend to be very in the moment when I'm reading, and I tend to pretty quickly forget the precise elements in the book on which the thoughts hinge that I have on the book. So, and then I end up not knowing what to talk about. So I guess I'm going to have to relearn to take notes while I'm reading, and especially to remember to take notes. But of course, that is one of those challenges which can just as easily be framed as an opportunity, can't it? Because the closer you pay attention and the more you reflect on your reactions to a book, the more you get out of the reading experience. So I guess even the challenges of this project will ultimately be very rewarding. But of course it is very bad form to ask only what Booktube can do for you, and you should much rather be asking what you can do for Booktube, right? So one of the things that I hope I can bring to Booktube is a little more love for the older books. Not old as in classics or even modern classics, but old as in 15, 20, 30 years old. So much of Booktube seems to be focused on new and recent releases, which is understandable, of course. I mean, who doesn't like the shiny new thing, right? And lots of people work in publishing or work with publishers in one way or another, and then there are always the literary prizes to keep up with, which is something that I enjoy as well. But I think there are so many older books that are worth being advertised a little more. I mean to try and incorporate these books in my program as much as possible, and think of ways that I'll be able to incorporate them that won't require that I reread them. Because I don't remember the details of even my most favorite books when I read them 10, 15, 17 years ago. And some of my favorites I did read that long ago. See my grey hair that I'm growing out? This is how long I've been reading adult books. As for formative reading experiences, I guess there were two. Well, my reading life experienced the lull in my early and middle teenage years. But then when I was 17 or 18 and the Lord of the Rings films were about to come out, I read The Lord of the Rings, and I loved it. Not just for its story, but for its writing style, which is somewhat of an unpopular opinion, I have come to realize. And truth be told, I don't know what I'd think about it now. I'm much less patient now than I used to be. But at the time I loved it, and it made me fall in love with the English language, and it made me want more. And in hindsight, it was also my introduction to fantasy, although at the time I wouldn't necessarily have picked up another fantasy book, especially not contemporary fantasy. That was just not something that I was drawn to. But then a friend of mine rather inadvertently pointed me in the right direction by giving me, for my birthday, the first book of Memory, Sorrow and Thorn by Ted Williams. And that got me into fantasy, alright. And that is a genre that I still enjoy reading to this day, although my tastes have changed quite a bit. And I've shifted away from high fantasy and from epic fantasy series, with a few exceptions, of course, as is always the case. Stormlight Archive. And then in Spanish class in school, we learned about the so-called boom of Spanish-American literature. And of course the name Gabriel Garcia Marquez came up. And we didn't read anything by him, but it made me curious, and I picked up 100 Years of Solitude on my own, and that impressed me to no end, both in how it introduced me to a new world, or a new reality I should say, that I knew next to nothing about, rural Colombia, but also how it introduced me to a new way of seeing reality and describing reality. And that is one of the things that I love most about reading, how books are able to confront you with an entirely new perspective. And that can be as small a thing as one new thought or one new way of describing one specific thing or one specific feeling. And another thing I love is to see what creative and original things writers do with language in order to create that effect, to make you see something in a new light. That said, I also like a good story. Accordingly, if you decide to stay with me, gentle reader, you're going to see a very mixed bag of books talked about on this channel. Just to give you an idea, some of my favorite books are The Remains of the Day and The Buried Giant by Kazuo Ishiguro, The God of Small Things by Arundhati Roy, Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell by Susanna Clarke, and Swords Point by Alan Kushner, Brother of Sleep by Robert Schneider, The Mask of Apollo, and above all, The Charioteer by Mary Renault, Great Expectations by Charles Dickens, and The Wild Places by Robert Macfarlane. This month, or last month I should say, in May, I read books by, among others, Louise O'Neill, Kaya Shanti Wilson, Simon Armitage, and Agatha Christie. I am about to finish the classic, The Murder at the Vicarage. So stay tuned for whodunit. Like I'm not the last person in the world who have read this. Anyhow, gentle reader, in my next video I promise I'm going to do an actual book review of the best book that I read in May, and in quite a while really. So until next time, thanks for tuning in.